It's the end of September and time to plan for next month. Now, where is my bullet journal? Hello Space Cats! It's me, Jules, making another video on drawing, planning and publishing. This week we are making a monthly plan for our bullet journals. If you've never seen a bullet journal before, it's a bit like a cross between a diary and a calendar, but it's totally you. It does take a little bit of work each month. I usually spend about an hour making up my plan and then maybe a little bit of time each day just filling it in. But the great thing is you can make it as decorative and fancy pants as you want, or as minimal as you want, with no fancy pants. Over the lockdown period, I shrank my to-do list, mainly because I didn't have so much to do. But if you want to track what music you're listening to this month or plan for your business, then this is exactly what a bullet journal is designed for. The main aim of the bullet journal is to track the past, order the present and plan for the future. So grab your bullet journal or notebook and let's get planning. If you saw last month's video, then you'll know that I've started a new journal, and I've used a Rhodia dot book this time. It's a softback notebook. Instead of starting a new one midway through the year, I decided to just fill out these last 4 months into this book, and then coming up to Christmas time, I shall buy myself a new hardbacked notebook and start my new bullet journal for the new year. And I'll just quickly tell you what I'm using here. This is a Papermate Flair pen, which I love. It's my go-to stalwart pen for doing lots of different things, including book signing. They're absolutely fabulous for that. And then the other pens I'm using are my Staedtler pigment liners, and this one is a 0.3, and I also use a 0.7 a bit later on. But instead of explaining to you what you can see in front of you, because you can see what I'm doing, so I thought I'd talk about something else. And what I decided to talk about was what October means to me here in the UK, because a lot of my subscribers are from the United States or various other places across the globe. So we have a very typical sort of what you think of autumn, with the leaves changing colour and the conkers coming off the trees and acorns, or haycorns if you are a reader of Winnie the Pooh, and lots of cool mornings, sometimes quite misty and foggy, and then later on as the day wears on it gets warmer and warmer. We've had quite a warm summer this year, and surprisingly in the last few days, this is mid-September at the moment I'm filming this, we've had a few days where it's reached about 30 or 31 in the UK, although down on the Isle of Wight we don't ever really get that hot. I think our warmest this week was around about 28 or something like that, so it's been really lovely, and I do enjoy those mornings when you get up early and it's got a bit of a nip in the air and you're a little bit chilly. You can go looking for things like mushrooms. I saw a fairy ring of mushrooms just up the road from me the other morning when I was walking the dogs, so that was rather exciting. As for colours and themes, I decided to take my ideas from the washi tape that I'm going to be using, which you'll see a little bit later on, and the main colours from that tape were sort of pinky and some ochres and some browns, so I decided to go with a couple of yellowy ochre colours as my main theme colours. And as for what I'm drawing, you can see I'm drawing a bunny there, and on the washi tape there's also some mushrooms and fungi and some little flowers and some bunting. It's really cute, I really love it. I just ordered it from Amazon. So I'm guessing if you want to order something similar, just search for animal washi tape, something like that, on Amazon, and you'll find something really similar, if not identical, who knows. I also like this time of year because we are in the run-up to Halloween, which really does signify the start of the autumn-winter season. As for the colouring, I decided to take 2 of my brush tip pens. These are new Dura pens, which are the slightly less effective brand that does these brush pens, but they're okay. They're fine for stuff for beginners, but they're not as good as Tombow. So if you really love doing marker pens, then I would splash out on a few Tombow pens, which is what I've done, and then you can do this sort of blending much easier. It comes out much better. But I think this is looking okay. And I've also will be doing that blending method on the title page too, which you'll see in a little while. Over the past few years I have had an allotment as well as my garden, which I tried very hard to keep up, but really it was a very uphill battle. And because I've got a lot of other things on the go as well as my work, I also care for my husband, and I have 2 children, so it is a bit too much for me to cope with on my own. So unfortunately I've had to give that up, but I still have my garden and I grow loads of different things in my garden. This year we've had a great crop of apples. Apparently it's been a really good year for apples all over the UK, and so I should be making some apple juice and apple tart type things and eating lots of apples. So here is the washi tape that I told you about. So yes, bunnies, and that actually there's a fox on it as well. I can see I might do foxes next month. I don't know, do foxes go in November? I think they might do a bit because you see them more often. And that 0.7 pen, I picked that up to do the outline of the letters because it's a bit better to see them with, and I can't, when you use the Papermate flares, I've discovered that they do tend to bleed a bit even when you've left them to dry for quite a long time. You need to leave them overnight really to be absolutely certain that they don't bleed, so I haven't got time to do that. So I'm using my Staedtler. I really like the Staedtler. I have tried the Pigma Micron pens, but I don't like them as much. I know it's really controversial. Not many people would say that, but I just like Staedtler better. There you go. The other thing that's really nice about October is we have a lot of migrant birds coming, waders in particular, those little fellas with the long legs that go poking around in the sea as the tide's going out. And although I live in a town that's not very close to sea, I am only about a 15-minute drive from the nearest bit of sea, and we are surrounded by sea, so we don't get a lot of snow because of the salty air that surrounds the whole island. But Newport, where I live, is on a river, but not very close to the sea, so it's lovely to go and have a poke around at the sea. We love doing that. We always used to go when my children were little. We used to go in the winter time because there weren't many people hanging around on the beach, and we used to buy clothes that would keep them nice and warm, like you'd see people in Scandinavia, children in Scandinavia wearing in the winter time, and we'd go and dig up, have a dig around on the beach and just have a fun. But that's sort of later on in the year, and I think when we talk about living on an island and island life, things were really different before we had the advent of the internet. And excuse that plane going over if you can hear that. We're on a route, shall I say. That's a little aeroplane that's going off to Sandown Airport. We have this, the island just gets massive in the summer months, and we have lots of visitors, and also we have the Isle of Wight Festival, so it's nice in the winter. Now have a look at this page. When I turn it over, check out that bleeding. Come on, Rhodia, you've got really good reputation for being a good book, but I'm not very keen on that, so I won't be buying this notebook again for doing this sort of work. It's very thin, the paper, so if you're somebody who really loves doing that kind of marker pen work, then this paper is not thick enough. Although I think from what I see other people using, the other Rhodia books do use thicker paper. Instead of using a master task list, which I have been doing the last few months, I'm using this key task list, and I've just got my 4 different subject headings For the 4 elements of my work, I'm doing quite a bit of book work at the moment, as well as my own, and quite a lot of people have been asking questions on YouTube which I need to answer, and lots of people asking me if I do illustrations for other people, which I do sometimes, depending on what the project is, and also if I teach illustrations. So those are things that are upcoming, maybe for the next year. But at the moment, a lot of it is books. So I wanted to fix that page where the bleed through has come. So I just took a double page out of the middle of the book, and I split that in, so I've just got this one page, and I'm going to slide that in with some very sneaky glue, which I will show you when the time comes, which is very shortly. And inside my cover there, I've got just what days the dates fall on, just to remind me, because I am really good at getting the wrong day with the wrong number. So I always check and then check again. And then just highlighting the weekends here with that pale yellow ochre that I was using for the rabbit. And I was given some stuff called Quickie glue. Here it is, Quickie glue. And I thought, there is no way this is ever going to work. It's a pen with glue in it. It is surely just going to get stuck and dried and be utterly useless after the first time I've used it. But hold on to your pants, people. It works. Check it out. Then apparently if you leave it for 5 minutes so it goes a bit tacky, you can then move it around as well. But yeah, good show, Quickie glue. We have the Story Festival coming up in February 2021. All of the COVID restriction things have, of course, put a lot of things on hold or cancelled, but we have very high hopes that we are going to be able to hold a festival in February 2021. Our first one was last February, just before we had our national lockdown, and it was extremely successful. We were so pleased. We have been a team for the previous 5 years before last year as well, for the Isle of Wight Literary Festival, doing the children's things, and we have produced some really brilliant shows over the years. So I'm very hopeful that we will be able to hold something next February. As for my weekly spreads in my journal, I've gone from trying to put everything on one page, which at one time, particularly during lockdown, it was doable to get all of my events and my to-do list on one page, but I've decided this month to spread it out a bit because September was a little bit squished all on one page. So I've got my events there on the left and my food diary for what we're going to be making as a family at tea time, because I hate getting to dinner time and thinking, what the heckity heck am I going to cook for my family? So we're a family of 4, and you know, everybody likes different things, so it can be a little bit of a juggling act sometimes. And then on that right hand page is where my to-do list is going to be, and making sure that I get all of the things, all of my bullet points sorted or migrated onto the next day, and sometimes even deleted if I suddenly decide I don't need to do that, which is quite a nice feeling. Just doing some highlights here with Crayola Super Tips, which I haven't used as much this year, although I do still love them, and think that if you are somebody who is beginning to use different things, then I would highly recommend them because they are great to use and very inexpensive. But I haven't used them quite so much this year because last year I was doing my nature journal. This year I've been concentrating much more on my courses, which you can find on my website. Stat tracker, of course, I need to keep a track of what's happening each month, and I would just like to take this opportunity to say a massive thank you to all of the people who have subscribed to my channel in the last few months. It has gone up exponentially, and I'm really pleased, and I'm glad that I can bring things to you that are useful and that are going to help you to further what you want to do creatively. And then just a very quick flick through to see how October has panned out. If you'd like further artist tutorials, I have a variety of short courses that will help you. There are real-time sessions looking at painting, drawing and marker pens, among others. And if you're keen on producing your own book, there is a more in-depth course on what you need to know about self-publishing a book with illustrations. And that covers making key decisions, how to make layouts and dummy books, rhythm and pacing, as well as several tutorials on illustrating your book, and a look at the tech. You can either hop over to my website or join me on Patreon for more information. Go on, give it a go! If you don't have any fabulous washi tape, then don't let that put you off. You can always buy some online or go to your local art supplier and have a look at that. But try not to buy the stuff that's like the Christmas tape that you put on that's a bit plasticky. The paper stuff is the best. Next week, what can you do if you've written a children's book but you can't draw? How are you going to illustrate it? I'm off to crochet Maisie's ears into a blanket. I'll see you next time. Nanu nanu!